I'm with Simi Jacobs, who was with Camera Committee for Accuracy in Middle East Reporting. And you've just recently wrote an article about campus life. What is Camera on Campus?
Camera on Campus is a fellowship that many students from the UK, and I think they work with something like 80 different universities. They provide us with training, they combat anti-Israel misinformation, basically. They help us, they provide us with the skills to correct media inaccuracies, put on pro-Israel events or educational events on our campuses. They provide us with speakers. They also have something that I really utilized this year, which is the ability to an editing team and the ability to write and publish articles about campus life, really,
Which university are you at?
at Birmingham, University of Birmingham.
Wow. So, how much anti Semitism is there actually on the UK campuses?
Right. First of all, any anti-Semitism it is too much anti-Semitism, right? Well,
Mm.
the premise of the question, there shouldn't be. The fact that we are having these sort of conversations, that I write the articles that I do, is so disappointing. I think that universities seem to be under the impression that post October 7th, things have calmed down, that we don't have active encampments or that it's a lot easier. I was personally told by a member of the University of Birmingham faculty that it's much better now. Things are less militant,
Mm.
and actually, what we're faced with is a new type of like an undercover, a sly, a scary type of anti-Semitism, an anti-Zionism that is camouflaged, proudly camouflaged, or sometimes openly declared. It slips into our lecture theatres, into our professors' offices, to posters in the library toilets, to badges in a cafe. It's pervasive. And for many Jewish or pro-Israel students, to mention Israel at university, in lectures, wherever it be, it is a really has become a really dangerous gamble.
So, what sort of things have you seen?
Well, first of all, there is what sort of things have I um around campus there is a number of really nasty leaflets challenging the genocide. I mean, the walk to campus, you're like you're bombarded with people wearing keffiyehs, with protests on the open green area, like outside the main library. I mean, there are days that Jewish students will be alerted on our group chats that there's a massive protest or there's a Nakba Day protest happening today. You might want to avoid campus.
Now, Russia is actually attacking Ukraine in a war there. So, do you see anything to do with Russia attacking Ukraine or anything like that?
Of
Or
course
is it just
not.
totally about Israel?
And do we hear about any other people? Do we hear about the Kurds? Do we hear about the Uyghur Muslims? No. I mean, the point is the fascination with Israel is nothing to do with social justice. It's pure anti-Semitism.
So, have you actually had a chance to talk to some of these people in the protests?
Yes, but I mean, it's very often very counterintuitive. People don't seem to be looking for dialogue. There isn't as if I think that a large number of Jews and Zionist pupils kind of avoid these conversations now because they get nowhere.
Mm.
First of all, there is it's very difficult. People are become very nasty very easily, and also I think we're afraid to be doxxed or to be. There's far more of them than there are of us, and it puts us in a. Obviously, it would be amazing to have dialogue. I myself, I would love to have those sort of conversations, but they are very easily become very nasty, very aggressive, and we anyone who wants to express an opinion, like for example that Israel should deserves to exist, it is instantly shut down.
So you can't debate with them and you can't get an opinion from and have a talk and a chat about anything because it's just violence.
Is that not what universities are for? I
Mm.
mean, these are supposed to be like, I go to a Russell Group university, and these are supposed to be like pillars of free speech, of interesting intellectual conversation. We're supposed to listen and learn from one another. But in reality, I and my peers would love to have, some meaningful dialogue, but it's like it doesn't ever seem to get anywhere.
So are they standing outside every day and are Jews worried when they actually go to university?
There aren't protests every day, but first of all, people come dressed in a cafe, for example, they sit in our lectures. I couldn't really count that. That's how bad it is. It's not as if I could say, oh, I see one a day. It's far more than that. It's like wearing your coat, I suppose, wearing a keffiyeh, having a pro-Palestine badge. I don't want to, misrepresent the situation. It's not as if there are terrible protests every single day, but on our walk to campus, there are on every lamppost massive posters, with Netanyahu's face on, or talking about the genocide. I wrote an article, my first article on that. Hatred is proudly platformed all across campus. Visually, people, whether it be what students are wearing, whether it be their on a badge, on a poster. It's very difficult and it feels very stifling.
Does it feel dangerous?
Yeah, I mean, I think of a couple of incidents this year come to mind. When it was the Tel Aviv and Aston Villa game, our parents warned us, careful, go out in groups. I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Or we were scared to go to the pub and watch the game. In fact, a group of people who were at the pub watching a game had a confrontation where people saluted Hamas, and that, it is scary. You could see Stand With Us on their report recorded a number of incidents, nasty incidents happening to Birmingham pupils. I mean, in one particular, there was people who were visibly Jewish were chased to their house. The railings of their house were climbed. They were heckled. It's completely abnormal. We operate on the most unique level of caution. Should I disclose that I did my gap year in Israel? Is it right that I have a +972 Israeli number on my WhatsApp? Will I be outed? Should I put my hand up to challenge the geopolitics teacher when they talk about the genocide? It's abnormal and it feels so isolating and so alienating. I don't know if you're aware, but we have the Birmingham student community for Jews is popular because we have a residential home for Orthodox students or for any students who wish to live with. And I stayed there. It's a really lovely environment. But this year, not straight after October 7th, we're talking, just this year, iron gates were installed and a keypad. I mean, that's abnormal. The police would come daily, every morning to check if things were okay. Jewish students who live in the student area, myself and my housemates, have a conversation. Should we place our mezuzah, the scroll we place on our doorpost, should we place it inside? What if somebody walks past and they see? What if they dox our house? It's not safe to be openly Jewish. And we wouldn't have that type of conversation about, you could see an Islamic prayer mat, for example, outside when you walk past. Are they scared to display that? No, of course not. Or a cross? No. It's
Yeah.
very sad.
I see that you're wearing a Star of David. Would you wear that when you go to university?
I feel I used to wear a map of Israel, and even myself, I write articles. I'm president of my Israel Society. I would call myself I'm a proud Zionist, but I still find myself tucking it in my seminars underneath my jumper. It's scary. It's very difficult to think that you'll be labeled. There's such a huge and such an antagonistic pro-Palestine I can't speak for everyone, but a number of the pro-Palestine people in the student societies can become very antagonistic, and it's scary.
Mm.
So, I mean, I wear mine with pride, but I won't. I have to be honest that there are some days where I don't.
Are they actually saying Zionists are not welcome at Birmingham University?
Well, there was a placard 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, at a protest which said those words. There are other instances, a group chat named No Jews Allowed. And you know what? If they're not saying it, I think that the university can hide behind that sort of idea. Oh, but it's not said explicitly. But far worse is that it's permissible because it's not said, but it's felt so deeply to be sat in a lecture and it to be stormed by people with balaclavas shouting about the genocide. How uncomfortable to be at your graduation and for it to be stopped by a speech about the apartheid, for example, or to be at the careers fair. All of these I'm not just, embellishing. These are real incidents. It's so intimidating. It's so scary. And it doesn't happen. It's a uniquely Jewish problem at the moment.
Do you feel now today, obviously you can't be anti-Semitic today, but is the new anti-Semitism anti-Zionism? And is
Yes.
it a way of getting round sort of the law so that you can still say hateful stuff, but I'm against Zionism?
Absolutely. And it's like a proud type. If you think of it like that, it's an open, it's a proud, it's an outspoken type of anti-Semitism in some way because but it's not anti-Semitism, it's criticism, I just hate Israel. And we're not talking about people who are critical of the Israeli government, for instance. We are talking about people who absolutely abhor the idea of Jews having a homeland or Israel's right to exist, who don't wish to have dialogue about a peace plan or nothing like that.
Do they want Jews to leave England?
I can't speak for everybody, but at the moment, this type of situation, for young Jews anyway, being confronted with this at university, becomes very difficult to think, for myself anyway, to think of a future in the UK.
Mm.
More and more religious Jews, I also wrote this in my first article, feel that there isn't much of a choice but to make Aliyah, to attend university in Israel, we certainly won't feel intimidated or scared to express our true selves doing that. And we pay such a ridiculous amount to attend these institutions and only to feel so scared.
So the way they're making you feel makes you want to come to Israel, which is the very place they don't want you to be in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there isn't really free speech in university anymore, particularly in Birmingham.
I think, I mean, we're talking about Birmingham, but you could look at some of the situations in King's or Royal Holloway or other universities that are arguably, I mean, just terrifying. Is it that they don't believe in free speech, or is it that they are quite happy to entertain hate speech to a point that it basically is? I mean, where's the line between free speech and hate speech? And it's up to the university. We are in such a vulnerable position here, and we need the university to step up to support us, And we are expressing a large population of Jewish students are here expressing desperately, discomfort. And there's not really any solution. It
Mm.
can't seem to meaningfully. I mean, they say, oh, there's not any active encampments happening on our campus at the moment. That might be true, but bubbling under the surface is something far more malicious.
Have you felt unsafe?
Definitely. When I submitted my first article with camera, I was so nervous. I was nervous. Should I use my real name? I've also got many of my friends as well have obviously Jewish names, and I was very scared. I mean, the university contacted me after my first article, worrying that I might receive unwanted social media attention. So they were aware of it too. I think it was so telling, that they were also seemed to be aware that we were experiencing acute amounts of anti-Semitism, enough to be that maybe I would, get doxxed or something after releasing my article. When I wrote an article about a viewing of the university premiered a film on two occasions called The Encampments, about the activities on Columbia University a few years ago, sitting in that lecture hall, sort of undercover. I was so scared. What might happen if I was discovered? Now I'm also president of my Israel Society. I find that I obviously want to be a vocal Zionist and a proud Zionist, but also, what would happen if I was to be discovered, or how might my peers treat me? It's scary, and it shouldn't be.
So you've got students wearing keffiyehs and expressing anti-Israel sentiment, but is the university itself actually promoting this anti-Israel propaganda?
Promoting. I just want to say as well that even if the way I express that I'm feeling unsafe at university, I could say for certain that the people that don a keffiyeh and walk around campus in the morning, that's not a worry for them. I don't think they're anxious, to think I'll be followed home. I think they, breeze about their day. I don't think they tuck in their Palestine necklace, whatever it may be, or their Arabic necklace. Are universities promoting anti-Israel propaganda? I don't know if they're promoting, but their passivity, their silence becomes a type of encouragement. Their silence breeds, like, it blurs the line between promoting and, endorsing, and that's really difficult. The university will say that they're not, so that's not a great answer. The university will say that they're not promoting it, but in not standing up for us, it does just that.
Does it feel like it's out of control, anti-Semitism on the campus?
Definitely. Like, it feels hopeless at times. It feels worse is that the university's inability to sort of take a stand to this suggests that it's not an issue. And that's very infuriating. And I guess to them, it's not out of control, which to us, to a Jewish population, makes us feel even more isolated.
Are professors actually involved in expressing their views as well to the students? And do you actually have Jewish professors as well who can actually counteract some of this?
That I'm aware of. I know there are a number of Jewish professors at the University of Birmingham. I don't know of any, openly pro-Israel ones, but I'm probably not aware of it in my department, wherever it may be. Professors proudly join things like the Staff and Student Pro-Palestine Society or the Nakba Day protests outside our main library. How daunting is it to go to office hours to see your professor and see a huge Palestine, or a watermelon or a Palestine flag on their door? It's scary.
Do Jews have to plan their movements when they go to university?
I can't speak for all Jews, but certainly Orthodox Jews, when they go to synagogue in the morning, they go together. They meet up after classes. At night, walking together, they will remove their kippah or put on a cap or something. Definitely, after a number of incidents last year, many of us have become, the Jewish community at university has become more insular. And that's very sad, but at times it's totally necessary.
Do you think all this will die down at the moment? Well, obviously, there's things happen, little bits here and there happening in Gaza, but do you think it will die down and Jews will feel a little bit more safer in the future?
I would like to hope so. But I feel that there needs to be a fundamental change in the way that universities and our universities tackle anti-Semitism. It's so disappointing to me that they are afraid that you're right, the new anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism. And for some reason, our universities can't seem to take a hold on this and challenge it. And the result is that many of their Orthodox or their Jewish or their pro-Israel pupils feel very alienated. I mean, like I say, we pay such an extortionate amount to attend university only to basically feel like we can't really attend as ourselves. And if we are going to attend, we have to hide a part of our identity that is integral to our faith or to our cultural beliefs.
Do you feel disappointed with Great Britain? Great Britain has so much great and wonderful history, with the Balfour Declaration and helping the Jews get back to the homeland. But to be at this point where there's fear and hatred amongst the Jewish people?
Yeah, I do. I
Mm.
feel sometimes I feel really frustrated. I mean, I feel frustrated that particularly being at university, this is supposed to be like, a wonderful part of my academic education. This is supposed to be a beacon of intellectualism, of conversation, of dialogue. And really, the reality is that unless you think like them, which is unless you hate Israel, you're isolated, you're excluded from the conversation, and you are, where possible, totally shut down. I mean, to think that I attend the University of Birmingham, but if I were to attend an Israel Sock event, or a Jewish Society event, it would normally be sourced to an external venue. I mean, if the Islamic Society wants to put on an event, it would be on the university campus. There is such a double standard. If we want to have an event, we will have security there because we'll have to alert security beforehand. We require an RSVP list. We must scan the RSVP list and make sure, do I recognize you? Do I know that name with an email to back it up, a university email? These procedures are abnormal and they are unique to Jewish students. It's taken as it's de rigueur, it's everywhere. And that's so disappointing. And I feel so let down by it.
What is your hope and your prayer for the future?
First of all, I feel that my hope is for pro Israel students or Jewish students that I think that we need to, I guess, embolden ourselves to, if our university isn't going to take action on this, we have to be proud, we have to be vocal. In this climate, I find that less and less there's no such thing as a quiet Zionist. Like when you're faced with this situation as a student at Birmingham, wherever it be, in London, in Wales, or there's no such thing as being quietly Zionist. We must be proud. We must stand up for what we believe in. It's not acceptable to be isolated. It's not acceptable for that students at Royal Holloway had blood smeared on their dorms because they knew they were Jewish. It's not acceptable that when students found out that they were Jewish in their dorm after October 7th, the non-Jewish housemates refused to speak to their Jewish housemates. These things, to be chased down the street for wearing a kippah, to be spat on, to be heckled, to be beeped the horn every time someone sees you to campus with a skirt or a kippah, to be told you have a long nose or a Nazi salute. These are things that so many pupils at just Birmingham have faced. I dread to think what it's like at other universities.
Wow, sounds terrible. Well, Simi, we hope you keep safe and thank you very much for sharing today.
Thank you.